speakers who have joined from out of Bangladesh, as well as our guests who are sitting next to me. The session topic and synopsis has already been shared. And my job here is to act more like, what should I say, a timekeeper with a stick and carrot with me. Thank you again for joining. I'll just briefly read out the synopsis in the interest of all the other viewers and audience wherever they are. The topic was democratization of technology, and the synopsis was, I'll just very briefly read out the synopsis. Behind the scenes, technology is becoming increasingly complex as the cloud, AI, extended reality, edge, and many other emerging technologies come into the mainstream. For technology users, however, interfaces are becoming more and more intuitive. It's almost inversely proportional. The more complex the technology becomes, the easier it becomes to use. The great democratization of technology is being driven by an array of enablers, including natural language processing, low-code platforms, robotic process automation, and others. These tools are not only removing the friction of technology, but also allowing people to optimize their work or fix pain points on their own. In the environment, not only are the problems solved faster and by the people who are closest to them, but the IT team's time is spared for where it can really add value. Big implementations, scaling successful programs, and injecting the most cutting-edge technology into the business, for example. The democratization of technology unlocks enormous potential. When access to powerful technology extends throughout a company, every person can become a vital part of the digital transformation act. We have our keynote speaker, Mr. Ralph Simon. I will briefly introduce him. Mr. Ralph Simon has enjoyed a spectacular 30-plus-year career in key modern industries in Silicon Valley and the UK. He is popularly known as the father of the ringtone and was one of the very first in the world to see the potential of mobile phones and mobile social media, becoming a founder of the global mobile phone, content and entertainment industries. He was also an international music industry visionary who discovered, signed, and developed major international talent, grew a huge international music publishing company, and managed the world's top record producers. As we started a little late, with due respect to Ralph, I'll shorten the thing. He is the founder chairman of Mobilium Global, the international innovation hunters and startup investors. Ralph is based in London and has deep links into South Asia, India, and the UAE, the EU, USA, the Nordic countries, and Africa. He is a fellow of the UK's Royal Society of Arts and a member of the prestigious Founders Forum group of international entrepreneurs. I would now request Ralph and welcome him to make his keynote presentation. And Ralph, you have around 15 minutes or so, and would love to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, Justin.
Nabila, can you hear us? Nabila?
democratizing technology. It will unlock potential from Bangladesh, and of course, Bangladesh, and particularly Mr. Zunaid Ahmed Palak, the State Minister of Technology, very keen to develop Bangladesh in many respects because Bangladesh has incredible potential. Next slide, please. Next slide. Can we go to the next slide, please, Nabila? Okay, so I thought today I will show you a few examples, short examples of fantastic technology that is really bringing in the whole notion of democratization as the way they're made and what they do and how they can change the country, and particularly Bangladesh, and also for Bangladeshi companies, for example, Pro Software, Workspace Infotech, Tiger IT Bangladesh. Those are some of the top companies in Bangladesh that are making progress. And of course, when you make progress in Bangladesh, they have to be fatafati. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Can we go to the next slide, please? Apologies to the audience for doing this. It's quite difficult, linking everything from London to Dhaka. But of course, with technology, one can be connected very quickly in many different ways. And we've got some good examples to show you of some things that we hope that you will say, Sherokom. Okay, let's go to the next slide. What are we waiting for? There we are. Okay, here's a very interesting one. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources in Indonesia is doing something incredible. They are converting motorcycles from fossil fuel to electric. There are about 120 million motorcycles in Indonesia, and there is a huge program by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources to convert motorcycles to electric, where they are hoping to ultimately, over the next few years, change 113 million motorcycles. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if that could happen in Bangladesh, how that would change and help meet the issues and the new thinking around the climate crisis? Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, here's an interesting one. This is from Hong Kong and China, AutoNavi. Now, of course, Bangladesh is very familiar with flooding and the difficulties of flooding, but AutoNavi is a map app that steps in to locate people that are affected by severe flooding. So if you are, let's say, that gentleman or lady with the umbrella, you can have AutoNavi on your phone. Obviously, your phone would hopefully be connected, and that would bring you into an app that would get people to come and assist you, show exactly where you are. That might be something for Bangladesh to think about, but AutoNavi is a very interesting app, particularly for those areas that are going to be affected by the climate crisis and by flooding. So let's go to the next slide, please. Here is an interesting one that has been developed by Dettol. Everybody in Bangladesh, I would assume, knows about Dettol, the great cleaning agent. Dettol facilitated safe prayer times during Eid. This is a picture taken in a mosque in Pakistan. And basically the prayer mat that is being used is made of a special paper that is also treated with Dettol. And this is a way in which people would be able to go to the mosque and pray and know that they are in a very healthful environment, because Dettol as a company have decided that they can bring their product into this kind of prayer map configuration, and it's proving to be healthful and helpful, certainly in the Muslim world. So Dettol, hats off to you for coming up with something interesting during this climate crisis time. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, here is something that I think would appeal to all of those entrepreneurs and business people and innovators that are looking at this. This is the Yas Creative Hub in Abu Dhabi. The reason I wanted to show this building, of course, is a very futuristic building, but Abu Dhabi are developing this building where they will have 16,000 creatives, entrepreneurs, innovators, engineers, working together in a whole range of new innovations. So hopefully there's somebody, maybe Mr. Zunaid Ahmed Palak, will see the need for building a special center, not only in Dhaka, but also in Chittagong, where maybe we can have some special centers that develop opportunity for innovators and also give them some funding. I know certainly in other countries, this idea of developing a center for innovation is a big one, but Yas Creative Hub, worth looking that up on online, and it's something that is really stimulating Middle Eastern media innovation, looking at artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, and so forth. Let's go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Now, here is something interesting where cities are now so full and crowded, people can't necessarily get fresh fruit and vegetables, but here is a plan that allows a managed farm plot where a farm that would be, say, outside of Dhaka would allow city dwellers to build their own small food forests in a way that would allow them to harvest fruit and vegetables. It's something that's catching on, certainly in some countries in Asia. This one here was something that was developed in Japan, but an interesting way in which a farm plot can be managed with city dwellers who can build their own food forests, something important in the coming issues of the climate. Next slide, please. Here is something interesting from India. This is Wadwani AI. Wadwani has developed an AI application that provides pest management to farmers. Basically, this particular app can actually identify the pests that are circling agricultural areas and farmers, help to identify what they are, and then to allow for the effective agricultural treatment to be made to those farms. Why this has got democratization elements to it is that this is an artificial intelligence app that can work with many, many farmers at the same time, where they can apply, just using their phone, a way of identifying the pest, the solutions for pest management, and a way in which this will enable them to enhance their production and their output from their agricultural space. So that's Wadwani and Google working together with Wadwani AI. Next slide, please. Now here's an incredible one. There's a gaming tech maker called Razer, R-A-Z-E-R, that has redesigned a special boat called the ClearBot, basically taking Razer AI and a cleaning mechanism. This boat can actually go into the ocean and can clean up 250 kilograms of plastic or of junk in the ocean. It's a way in which the boat is driven by artificial intelligence. ClearBot and Razer, really an incredible way to help clear up the oceans, where we have a major problem all around the world with massive, massive amounts of plastic. So look up ClearBot and Razer, and here you've got the blending of gaming tech that has been combined with ocean cleaning, giving you ClearBot and Razer. Something interesting that's helping to clean up the oceans. Maybe this could be brought in and around Bangladesh as well. Next slide, please. Now here's something interesting. Those of you that are familiar with India and have been watching some of the unicorns or the developing companies in India are maybe familiar with Ola. Ola, successful, started by a young man in his early 20s. And now Ola Electric are doing something incredible where they've decided they are going to, in fact, have now got a factory building electric scooters and employing an all-female workforce. I don't think this has been done anywhere in the world, where electric scooters in a factory developed by women. We love that because we love seeing and needing to see the growth of women in technology. And this is the democratization of assembly in a factory and doing something with electric scooters that are positive for the environment as well. So Ola Electric, we say Ole, Ola. Let's go to the next slide, please. Next slide. Here's an interesting one, Nintendo. I'm sure a lot of you that have kids are familiar with Nintendo, but Nintendo have now developed an interesting element with their Switch game that teaches players programming and game creation. So the whole notion of programming and coding, just to give you an idea, we're working on a project right now in Amritsar in India to try and develop 1 million Sikh coders. We're working with the government of Indonesia to develop 1 million coders in Indonesia. But here's one where you can work with Nintendo and Switch that will teach players and programming and game creation. That's pretty good. Let's go to the next slide. Here's something interesting. IKEA, the famous Swiss global company that makes furniture, have decided to integrate air purifiers into interior furniture. If you see that furniture on the right side of your screen, behind those white, I guess you could call them baffles, inside it is an air purifier that's consistently purifying the air in the room. So who would have thought that you could develop furniture that could purify the interior air in a home, in a house, in a flat, in an apartment, where there might be lots of people that need a purification. And so hats off to IKEA, the global company that have a strong sense of responsibility for climate crisis. Next slide, please. Now, here's an interesting invention in Spain. This is showing you special cabins that allow for small businesses, but you can only use these cabins if you have done something to help the city, whether it's helping clean up trash, whether it's helping in some form or another. The only way you can get access to these special cabins that could give you business, Wi-Fi and phone service is if you do something to help the services of your city, of your neighborhood. And Las Condes is the name of it. They are local change makers. These cabins are something that are getting improvements in the local environment, but you can't pay for them. You can only pay for them by doing some services for your town or your city. Next slide, please. Here's an interesting one. Samsung Electronics took unused Galaxy smartphones and turned them into medical diagnosis cameras. So that's basically using a smartphone with a special app, and it's effectively now being used to look at glaucoma and various eye diseases all over Asia. Who would have thought that unused smartphones can be turned into high-powered medical diagnosis cameras? So good to Samsung to see that. Maybe this is something that could be done in Bangladesh, where the problem of eye disease and eye ailments is something that needs to be done on a much wider basis than having to go to a hospital. This actually would allow local community health workers to do something. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now here's something really interesting from the Philippines. Can you imagine that coconut shells can actually provide coolers in cooling units to keep places cool? Well, if you look at a coconut shell, if you peel the coconut shell with the roughage around the shell, that can actually be put into a special invention and innovation that actually allows for cool refrigeration to be maximized. It's called Fortuna Cools, and this is a way where you take something completely natural, you build it into a low cost, low electricity usage aircon, and this is a way to really get exceptional cooling, but made from the husks, which is what you see in the picture there, of coconuts. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now here's interesting. This is something that's done by Arup, the big engineering group, and Sino Group, which is done in Hong Kong. And this is a hybrid bus shelter. That is a bus shelter, but it's also a bus shelter that purifies the city air, something that is certainly needed. I'm sure that if we spoke to Saqib Al Hassan or Tamim Iqbal or Mushfiqur Rahim, the top cricketers in Bangladesh, they would support something like this, a hybrid bus shelter that purifies the city air, where people can stand underneath it, talk about cricket, or talk about Chanchal Chowdhury or Joya Ahsan, and in doing so, also know that the air is fresh. Next slide, please.
Ralph, we are nearing closing for you.
Okay, we'll just have 2 more slides and then we'll be done. Let's go to the next slide, please. Not this one, the next one. Let's go to the next slide. So, what will you do to meet the challenges of 2022? Will you be a visionary? Will you be Ayapok? If you do, you will be Gayama. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the 25th World Congress on Infotech, these are just a few examples of something you could do to improve your country, to improve your world, to improve your children's lives in the future. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been wonderful being with you. And Shafkat, thank you so much for having me with you today.
Thank you very much, Ralph. I just want to remind everyone that, as you know, the WCIT 2021, the theme is ICT, the Great Equalizer. And our session sinks in nicely by saying democratization of technology. Basically, I'm expecting all the speakers to deliberate, express, present, comment on their understanding and or interpretation of this particular topic. So you're welcome to speak any way you want. Now, I would like to have the pleasure of introducing our friend, Mr. Charles Cheong. He is the Chief Executive Officer, AI Future Asia Private Limited, Singapore. Charles is an accomplished Singapore professional in fintech, artificial intelligence, advisory, decision management and analytics, aviation, financial services, blockchain, banking operations and technology, and asset management industry with 30 years of Asia-Pacific experience, including 10 years in commercial business aviation. I don't think Charles has anything left to do after this. But however, I will still say that Charles has multidisciplinary working experience in software sourcing, procurement and transactional service business, corporate advisory as well, and has transacted, structuring and executing more than 300 procurement deals and closed worth $500 million worth of business in Asia Pacific. Charles, welcome, and you can have your say now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shafkat. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. And it's indeed an honor to be here speaking in WCIT Bangladesh 2021. And I appreciate the time given to me to share with you my thoughts and also my experience in Asia Pacific and in the technology space, especially in the democratization of technology today. So this is the topic for today. And we have seen, because of the advancement of technology, because of the democratization of technology, we start to see more and more new technologies are being deployed. And in the past, deploying technology is not something that is easy to do, and it costs a lot of time and money. And today we start to see that in the financial services, that people are going for alternative, which is the cryptocurrency or the blockchain of the world. And because there are so many people who is not into the traditional
presentation system, this morning for the
more than 2 billion
World Congress of Information Technology in Dhaka in Bangladesh.
I think that, Ralph, can you turn off your...
Did you really?
And because of this mobile adoption in the financial services, you start to see more and more people are into the system, and the cryptocurrency adoption has improved the lives of people who has not been into the financial system in the past. And one of the great examples is M-Pesa network. I knew them when it was in 2007 they launched the first mobile banking system. And today, M-Pesa in Kenya, they have more than 40 million users in 7 countries in Africa. And this is still the most talked about case study of how technology implementation has been very successful in the financial services. And from this, we can see that the blockchain is in fact, safeguarding assets and to grow wealth of many people around the world. And I have personally seen people who has been using a blockchain that will give them more opportunity to do business. And I start to see more and more of my customers requesting me to accept cryptocurrency as a medium of payment. And by the look at it, the market opportunity is huge. Decentralized finance today is worth more than 21 billion US dollar. And if you look at the country that adopt cryptocurrency most is Nigeria, and you have an Asian country like Vietnam. Why? Because people can see the benefit that in the past they could not have access to. And because of cryptocurrency, adoption of technology is easier. You don't need to be to have the big team to have this technology. And the expert has been telling us that democratized and distributed technology is the way to go. In the past, the CIO is the one who takes care of technology. Today, you can have the business owner, the business manager, who can deploy a technology without having to go through with the chief information officer or the technical team. And technology can be easily deployed in the shortest time. And what are the 10 strategic technology trends today? So there are two parts of it, the people-centric technology and the smart space. And all this makes life much easier. From the people-centric, we can see that there's a democratization, the human augmentation, the automation, and from the smart space, we have blockchain, we have AI security, distributed cloud, and empowered edge. And I have personally involved in artificial intelligence solutions for customers, and customers will find that the way that they can execute AI as a user is just on the fly and is easy to implement. And one of the most talked about solution in the world today is called Scratch, a platform that is developed by MIT. And this is a platform, it's the world's largest free coding community for kids. And by looking at the number of users that they have, the number of visitors, and this is something that Nasri always talk about, how kids can build programs without knowing how to do coding. And today, by looking at the numbers, 170 million of visitors with 60 million projects created into this platform is really incredible. And looking at the number of website traffic, is like they have like 650 million website visits. And that is how powerful democratization of technology is. And it takes away the barrier. Even a kid below 12 years old can create an artificial intelligence programming without knowing coding. And this is something very exciting. And I wanted to ask my 12 years old son to try out and to build a program without knowing programming language. From the data and AI democratization, we see that some of these, you have come across it personally yourself. And when you look at the government has open data, and I have put in some sample of the Southeast Asian countries, the ASEAN country government are doing it. And from Brunei, from Singapore, from Vietnam, from Bangladesh, from Indonesia, Philippines, and Malaysia. And from the open source, I'm sure one of the logo that you recognize most is called reCAPTCHA. Every time you go to, you log into some secured security website, they will ask you to do a CAPTCHA. CAPTCHA is to make sure that you are a real person, you are not a robot. And CAPTCHA is actually a part of the open source AI. And
Charles,
of course, from the
the
technology companies, we have people who's doing data exchanges from IBM to Internet of Things and Springboard.
Charles, are we finishing?
Okay. Yeah, today, according to Essential, the the trends of the technology, from stacks, mirror to technologies. And what I always want to say is that you can build whatever environment that you want today, anyway and everywhere. And today, the business can respond to the market in the shortest time, not by doing it themselves, not by building technology on their own, but instead they partner with the best of the breed in the market and come up with the best solution to serve the market needs. And this is one example that Porsche has teamed up with material suppliers and to build a system that they wanted in the shortest time.
Charles, are we
and
done?
Learning from COVID, going forward, democratization of technology is a must for everybody, and it's just part of our life, and we just do what we have to do. And with that, I just want to thank you for your time, and thank you for your attention, and I'll hand back the time to the MC.
Thank you very much, Charles. I would like to recognize the presence of Mr. Abdi Sheikh Ahmed, the Honorable Minister, Ministry of Communications Technology, Somalia. Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming. We have a slight emergency here, and I hope it's not too bad. Our friend who's sitting here on the dais, Mr. Kamal Kader's daughter has been taken ill. So I would like to finish with him very quickly, and we wish her well. And I would just like to briefly just introduce you that Kamal Kader is a practitioner who focuses his efforts on technology that brings about social progress by enabling people to advance economically. He is the founder and CEO of bKash, a digital financial service that offers millions of unbanked and underbanked people access to financial services through basic cell phones or smartphones in Bangladesh. Go ahead, Kamal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and really appreciate that you...
No, you can speak. You can tell whatever you want to do. You can do.
No.
You're welcome.
So, but I appreciate you giving me the opportunity here today a bit earlier. My daughter is young, and she has dengue fever.
Oh gosh.
So that's why. But she's stable. But I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, and please keep her in your prayers. I'm a practitioner of technology, which is very essentially is democratizing technology. And before we get into what we do and how we reflect from our work, it is truly democratizing. And if I say that, I don't think, if you look at the time of the pharaohs, I mean, from the Egyptian time, since we know the modern civilization, never before we have lived in a time where every common citizen has a kind of technology that across the world, whether the richest person in the world to somebody with financial constraint in Bangladesh, they all have access to this kind of technology. And I specifically talk about mobile devices. So if this is not democratizing technology, what is? And so I do work in that space, and from that point of view, I would like to share a few thoughts. One thing I want to point out, that when we develop technology and when we practice that, fundamentally it's very important where the design is. So the institution, the enterprise, which is deploying this technology, are they focusing on democratizing it? Is their intention is to bring it to every level? And I'll give an example which is relevant to my work. I work for a mobile financial service regulated by the central bank. Now, when this started in 2010, we could have looked at many different solutions. And one solution was we go for app technology, where somebody has a smartphone, you download an app from the Google Play Store, and you make the technology available to customer. But what we realized, that countries like Bangladesh where most people do not have access to smartphone. So if we design our technology in a way that sounds great, but it is not accessible to common people, then the whole objective of democratizing it fails. So we have to design it in a way that common people get access to it. In our case, we went for USSD, which is a very basic inter-exchange protocol that every mobile phone in the world have access to. And that's basically you dial a number, you talk with the server with that number. Okay. In Bangladesh, after 10 years, and after having, after launching our app, which is a very popular app in the market, still 75% of the country's populations are using the USSD platform. That demonstrates that if we are focusing on democratizing, it's extremely important that we focus on the kind of technology which people have access to. If we would have used the smartphone app, life would have been much simpler. We would not have to work with telephone operator specifically. We would not have to make the effort to pursuing each and every operator to provide us connectivity. But that would fundamentally kill the aspirations we had, the enterprise level aspiration we have of taking the technology to the grassroots level so everybody can get access to it. So at a very fundamentally, as we talk about democratizing technology, I want to point out that, Shafqat Bhai, is that it's very important that we design in a way that it is designed in a way that everybody have access to it, or everybody can avail this access. The other point I want to make is when we democratize technology, the role the regulator plays. Because fundamentally, any technology we use, it has a regulatory element behind it, whether for network or for its the substance we're using with. So in the case of Bangladesh, and again I come back to my own practice, that we had discriminatory pricing, that when we use USSD, the very basic USSD I was talking about, what should be the price we should be paying for this thing? Someone was paying X price, someone was paying Y price, and that's where the public interest comes, and that's why regulator played a very important role. I remember our honorable ICT advisor actually got stepped in, and BTRC formulated a pricing mechanism, how USSD will be priced. So again, when you're talking about democratizing the technology, regulator also plays a very important role. The other thing I want to point out that as things get more and more complicated, we need to make sure we figure out that in this democratizing process, who provides the rail and who provides the engine on top of the rail, or the locomotive on top of the rail. If the engine provider and the rail provider are both same institutions, then we have a challenge in terms of creating market competitions, because the rail provider will always get advantage, and the engine provider will be stopped with red line of the rail provider. So these are some of the things I want to bring to your attention, that as we aspire taking the technology, democratizing the technology and taking it to the grassroots level, regulatory role is also extremely critical. Otherwise, despite the beauty of the technology, we can't take full advantage of this thing. Another point I want to bring up, that how quickly the prices are coming down of all the technology that we see, particularly in the digital space. If we follow the Moore's law, then every 2 years, the prices are coming down, and the capacity of the technology is going up exponentially. And the best example of that is that the kind of technology we used 10 years ago, today we're probably using 100 times more powerful technology, but spending 100 times less than what we used even 10 years ago. Okay. Again, another example of democratizing the technology that common people can get access to. So these are some of the thoughts, Shafqat Bhai, as a practitioner, I want to share, is that we are actually indeed going through an unprecedented time, where common people have access to this technology. I mean, if you look at the kind of handset we are using here, a very similar handset, probably a working class person is using in the street in the country. My handset has probably 50 apps in it. He doesn't need 50 apps, or he doesn't want to use 50 apps right now. He's using only one app, and the processing power he has in his machine, that one app is adequately serving him or his or her needs. So in a time like that, we should be only think about how people capitalizes this thing, how we create a regulatory environment or policy environment where common people who now have access to these devices can maximize their aspirations and the whatever goal they set for themselves.
Thank you so much, Kamal. I really respect the fact that you still hung in there with us. We pray for your daughter, and if you want to, you can be free to leave at any point in time you want. Okay? Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to also recognize the presence of Mr. Mohammed Sharif from the Maldives. Welcome, sir. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our friend Seema Abasta. She is the CEO of Brookfield Digital Realty JV. Seema is a strong industry leader with experience in leadership roles in IT and technology areas spanning engineering, global product support, solution engineering, and professional services. As a proven industry leader for over 30 years, her strategies and contributions have delivered consistent results, desired business outcomes, and value to clients from industry verticals like financial services, manufacturing, and e-commerce with deep expertise in databases, business intelligence, big data, virtualization, data center, and cloud services. She holds a master's degree in computer science and a PhD in computer science from renowned Indian Institute of Technology. Welcome, Seema. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. First of all, very good afternoon and warm greetings to all my fellow panelists. I'll just keep it very short, and I had the privilege of hearing some of very fine speakers. I think it's so thought-provoking, but I'm just going to put across some of my thoughts in this space, which is probably more relevant, more centric towards Asia than globally, right? I mean, I'll keep it that way, which will be more relevant. So first thing is democratizing technology has a power definitely to change people's lives, and that too people at large in developing nations. I think we need to realize this very, very quickly. And as rightly told by the previous speaker, a lot of regulatory plus a whole host of effort in bringing innovation grounds up, more, from grassroots, from bottoms up, is something that we really need to kind of foster. Right? The ubiquity of technology in the world itself is absolutely astonishing. I don't know how many of you know, like India is one of the largest users of internet. It has the largest number of smartphones, and the power of that needs to be unleashed by the country. I think that's the most important thing, and it is a tool that can empower people. It's something that can really change lives for people, and we have seen that through pandemic in the last 2 years. In fact, we are so immersed in it. I think we no longer think it's an extraordinary thing, at least in India, right? It's just taken for granted as long as it works, and it's such an important part of our life. So basically, democratizing is definitely a bedrock to the whole of the innovation, and it can have a massive scale positive disruption if it is designed that way. I think that's the most important. And I'll tell you, there are a few apps that really made a big difference in pandemic, which I was kind of personally following. For example, there was a team of people from Harvard and MIT who put out an app designed to slow down the virus spread, and a whole use of geospatial technology. And prior to that, geospatial was so very specific to very few specialized apps, and now it has become integral part of practically everything that you see, right? So if nobody knows the use of these technologies, it's a matter of how you really consume it. And I think it's made so simple to consume today. It's probably changing life to a great extent. Udemy decreed, I think throughout pandemic, we kind of had our learning curves, our learning goals, which were met even without any compromise, while we were keeping an eye on how the spread itself in terms of controlling the spread. A whole host of self-improvement apps. What an innovation! I mean, I personally had experience around it, like Headspace, Mint, Diet, Indeed, whatever, the whole host of them. We all have our own fleeting moments. I'm very sure I go through that, and a moment of hesitation in terms of how secure they are, what compromise do we do from a personal information standpoint. But notwithstanding that, I think it just takes moments for us to be just back on that same platform. So it shows how important it is to democratize and empower in terms of, it will be a much better place to live using technology rather than anything else, right? So just go back to any other methods or adoption of doing things. So there are two things I want to just structure my talk around the government, what the government would focus on or do things, a few things that would really make life better. And the other is the enterprise themselves, right? So I have seen the enterprise part because I've been part of the enterprise, being a solution person for the enterprise. Like I've really been through the pain points, and the benefits, and the kind of things, the outcomes that we have seen. From the government standpoint, I think there's increased participation of citizens that is required, which is probably completely lacking. No matter how many things we want to talk about this, there's no participation at all. It is just restricted, and technology and proliferation, democratization could really, it could just change this manifold times, right? From the participation perspective, which is very key to any developing country. Investors, for example, investment in India or investment around the place is not all that easy today. It can be made. I don't know how much amount of technology really gets used in this space. India is the fifth largest market in the world, and it is one to do the policy, and it's another to align the systems and processes to support this policy. There is still a lot that is left to be done from an automation standpoint that will make investments easier. So when we talk of disruption, when we talk of innovation, when we talk of technology, it's also important to make room for those investments to be made. These are all at large scale. I think Ralph talked about such beautiful initiatives, and most of these are mass initiatives. They are not really restricted to a small piece of society or a small piece of the globe or a small country or a small space within the country. They are going to have effect around. So it's very important to look at investment itself, right? So it can make a whole host of a difference if you really consider the technology at its best and use the best use of it to tie around everything, in a seamless, easier way to make investments. It won't be simple, but it'll at least make it easier, right? India has a lot of focus on clean and green energy. So there's a huge role that the technology plays in terms of making this a reality, and it is across all the sectors. I lead the data center sector, and it is so important until you have a vision for clean and green, you definitely cannot have a roadmap for your own business. So it is so important, right? Telemedicine is another, it's so much spoken about. For the first time during pandemic, actually India tried a whole host of applications that were designed to actually deliver medication over telemedication to the remotest part of the country, right? So this was a test of times, and we saw how well it could really work, even with something that was not really tested or thoroughly tested, but still it worked a great deal. So it has a huge potential in turning, simply turning, I think there should be a lot of equality to health, equality to education, and that can be only brought about by democratizing, technology. The other big revolution that is happening is in the field of learning, and I think there is so much. We can easily bridge the gap between who can afford and who can't by just leveraging the right technology. I think that is something which is being, which I think the pandemic has taught us, and I don't think we're going to go back to any other method. It's been absolutely fantastic for us. The whole learning goals of the country has gone up so many more times because people had time, you had the technology, you had access to material. It was made available, and it was made available without a barrier. And I think that's one of the most important striking things what the government can strive to actually do with the technology and the investments in technology. From the enterprise standpoint, on the other hand, the whole entrepreneurship required, technology is the cornerstone, and it's extremely important to make it affordable. I strongly believe what is not affordable is not useful, right? So this is another important outcome of democratization. It's very, very important to democratize, to ensure that it becomes affordable and it becomes extremely useful, and that will also help businesses really turbocharge themselves. Today, I think that is what is lacking. It's a big gap between the two. Though we talk a lot about it and it's being done, it is still something that we see which needs a lot more what desired. There's leaps in technological innovation in the areas of AI, in cloud computing, software robotics. These are very powerful democratizing factors in business. Does two things: one, a quick scaling, and two, it also kind of breaks the infrastructure barriers, drives down costs to a great extent. These are something that is done in small pilots, but I haven't really seen they go really large, but except for few industries which are well ahead of the curve. One of them is fintech. Actually, what I like about this is though we are a highly regulated country from a financial services standpoint, but what I really appreciate is a very quick change from a very currency-based environment to a very fintech-oriented, giving a very high degree of freedom for people to be able to ease with their payments, irrespective of which part of India they lived. I think that is that kind of a robust and an easy-to-use platform, irrespective of where you live, what you do, whether you're educated, you're not, you're a naive user. One of the apps, app as simple as GPay, right? It has bridged the gap between the banking system, payment system, with such a beautiful interface for UPI or a universal unified platform for payment. And that interface has been made so simple that I see people, just the street vendors who find it so easy to use the technology and do business, which they were not able to do before. They cannot be selling to people who don't have cash. And today they do that because they have simply adopted these technologies very easily just on their smartphones. Just look at the amount of enablement. I was in Goa some time back, and I was so stunned to see what technology can do. I was just on a beach, and I wasn't carrying a lot of money when I go to the beach. I just would go to the beach, just roll around the beach, right? There were a few people who had their services on the beach, and we were just wondering how to avail those services with no money. And the only thing that we had was just a phone with us. And I was so appalled to see, you could have all of it that you want, and you could just make a payment using a phone, and it could be, it can be a wallet, it can be a bank account, it can be, just any form of payments, right? And it's being transacted between two people. One, of course, is the elite set of people with the use of smartphone and the smartest kind of phone, the smartest with the ability to manipulate it. And then you have a bunch of people who are rendering the service with very basic phone, basic ability, basic knowledge. But still, it's and this was so simple to do, right? These are things which really kind of turn. And during pandemic, when they were all rebuilding their lives, little after that, it was overwhelming, to see the kind of massive impact that this can have on common people, on people who are not so privileged as we are,
we'll have to
still
finish now,
turning their
Seema.
businesses, right? So it's one of those very important, very important part of the democratization. Well, personally, I feel this helps in breaking the legacy chain. Legacy has been ruling for a very long time, especially in certain industries. You see, democratization will force people to look at how to change, come out of legacy, and look at breaking the chain of legacy, provide a very vibrant growth to the enterprises, to the companies. So these are some of the basic takeaways, right? At the same time, there's something to ponder, the key questions that we don't ask ourselves. Right?
Seema, I'm sorry, we'll have to finish. If you can kindly do that.
Yeah, I'm done with it.
Okay.
So basically, like every country, every business, every entity must have, they must look at basically attaining their democratic state of technology, which is what I think is a key takeaway in terms of looking at technology from democratization standpoint. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Seema. Much appreciated. Now I would like to introduce Mr. Nazri Mohammed, or Mood, I think that's how it's pronounced, if I'm not wrong. He is the founder, Group CEO, Executive Chairman, founder, and his company name is MyFinB Group. He has another company, MyFinB Ventures, Center of AI Innovation, Global. Okay. He is the founder of MyFinB, Center of AI Innovation, Chairman of the AI World Summit. He specializes in AI and cognitive analytics with more than 2 decades as a practitioner in these fields. In July 2021, Nazri was ranked the #1 thought leader in AI, digital transformation, and predictive analytics by USA-based independent group called Thinkers 360. He was recently awarded the Global Chamber 2020 Excellence Award for Global Partnerships and Innovation. In 2018, Nazri was named one of the world's top 500 influential personalities in the Islamic world and economy by Islamika 500. He was also awarded the Asia Pacific's Top Young Business Leader Award in 2010 by the Ministry of International Trade and Industry. Now, Nazri is, as I said, he is the Honorary Consul General of Cabo Verde, West Africa. He is also a professor and is also a brother of mine. I prefer to call him Brother Nazri. Nazri, please go ahead. You have 8 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the Shafqat. Assalamualaikum Bangladesh. Apnara Kemon Achen Shoba. It means how are you all today? I'm a Singaporean based in Singapore, but I've traveled before COVID close to 30 countries advocating, training, and implementing AI. Yet, during and post-COVID, ironically, I can cover 2 times as many countries as I did when I was physically traveling. I was digitally covering during and post-COVID. So that's the beauty of democratization, a very simple example of how democratization actually enables us to be in different places at the same time. So what do we understand by democratization, right? Democratization is about accessibility, it's about affordability of AI, in this case, the topic of my presentation that leads to a positive impact. So tech today is about finding the lowest cost, the most intelligent systems that can be implemented fast and accessible to all types of people, whether you're rich, poor, or middle income, whether you're public, private, or non-profit, it has to be inclusive. We've heard about financial inclusivity, but what about technology inclusivity? So as innovators, we are constantly studying how organizations and people react to tech adoptions. So accessibility, affordability, and impact, how do we access it? So tech is not about tech alone, right? It's not about AI alone. It's about the psychological part, the behavioral part, the economics part, and the cognitive, the thinking part. So my presentation today covers 5 key areas very quickly because of the limited time given. So we all have a pain point, right? So the idea is, where do we start? How do we start? What's the ROI? The key question is, what technology strategies can be adopted in the quickest time, highest value, at the lowest cost? So if you can answer this, that means we are partially there. when it comes to democratizing AI. So the choice of technology can be displayed through a Forrester research, where you can see horizontally what's going to happen in the next 5 years, what sort of technology will emerge, will appear, will impact, changing the world, changing industries, and creating competitive advantage for organization. Right? So from here, the circled ones are those that the Center for AI Innovation that I'm heading basically involved in. So we work with partners, public, private, non-profit, to be able to create technologies like this together. So there'll be some examples of how we basically carried out. Now, why AI? Because AI tells a story about your organization, past, present, and future. Think of it like a set of Lego bricks. You have data all over the place, you sort it out into colors, you arrange them into shapes and sizes, you present it visually, and then finally you can explain the story. Now imagine AI can automate, can create that analysis, past, present, future about your house, past, present, future about your career, right? About your business ventures, about the economy, about industries. So there is the cognitive part, the decisioning part of AI that enables you to augment your intelligence, your human intelligence into a higher form of efficiency and effectiveness. Okay, so you can see from McKinsey research that there have been a lot of ROI computed and estimated across different sectors. So these are all double-digit ROI that you can expect to see across sectors. So AI is industry agnostic. AI is platform agnostic. And AI basically looks into visual data, quantitative data, quality data, or what could be called as structured and unstructured data. Right? So suffice to say, it's a lot of understanding, a lot of realization of profits, a lot of realization of productivity gains from the adoption of AI. So what is the market telling us? What we must remember as a business leader is that ownership, okay, of technology is very important to the business owners, to the business leaders. They like to know about the cost benefit. They don't want to know how fantastic your technology is. They want to know how does it create impact for me, economically, financially, operationally, and productive wise. Right? They want to make sure that the data that goes in and out are secured and ethical. They want to make sure that 90% of their population adopts a no-code, low-code platform. That means you don't have to worry about hiring data scientists. Why? Because more than 90% of any workforce in any organization, whether it's a bank, non-bank, government, non-profit body, how many percent of the workforce knows AI and machine learning, right? I can dare say less than 10%. So does that mean that 90% of the workforce cannot do digital transformation, cannot build AI solution? So the last part of my presentation really talks about that. How people, 90% of workforce can build, develop, and deploy AI. And people need a system that can make decisions and make recommendations on behalf of the humans. That means that it's not replacing human, but it's augmenting their decision-making skills, their recommendation skills. They don't want something that borrows a watch and tell you the time. So this is the emerging 5 things that we are noticing across countries. Moving on, how does democratization look like? Okay, what does democratization really mean? We've heard about accessibility, affordability, and impactful as a form of democratization of technology, right? So here, the perception of AI is that, oh, you need a lot of capital expenditure. You need to have lots of AI and ML team. Oh, it's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It's going to cost millions of dollars. Nobody can tell me what's the ROI. Nobody tells me that, oh, I cannot own my IP because these are all contained, okay, by external vendors or external parties. So these are the pain points that inhibits or prevent people, okay, from adopting AI in a bigger way. Right? But the needs now, when you democratize AI, you can do a few things in the green box. Bring down the capex to no capex, ready talent support by providing AI as a platform to a bunch of decision makers with lots of experience, and you take it less than 4 to 8 weeks, below 8 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks to implement, design around customized and around specific needs with clear ROI, cost benefits, and joint IP ownership. Okay, and the AI dilemma then becomes 3 options. Do you use in-market solutions, things that are already available? Do you modify existingly what they have? Or do you be an AI author by creating your own IP? So this is where it gets very interesting. Okay, recently we've embarked on a democratization program for AI adoption, AI deployment, and AI ownership, such that it becomes affordable, effective, and accessible. Effective in this case, the impactful aspects. So what do we mean? What do we mean by impactful, right? So think of the SDG 17 goals, right? The Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. The idea is to map, then mobilize 90% of the workforce to be able to create AI solutions without coding or programming, so that it's no longer become an exclusive affair for 1 to 5% of the world population who can do coding and programming, or population means the workforce population, right? So the idea is, how do you convert HR, marketing, operations, finance, investment people, right? Operations, logistics within an organization to be able to create AI solution without the need for coding and programming. Make AI accessible to all without barriers, and yet align it to the SDG 17. Now that is the key. So we have introduced a 12-week program called the Certification in Applied AI, where you get to, it's the world's first in terms of learning, building, and sandboxing your solution without the need for coding and programming. Charles has mentioned earlier about how MIT created Scratch for kids. We were inspired by that story. And he rightly said, I mentioned it quite a bit of occasions, because I was so inspired when I sent my daughters there. And within 5 days, they were able to create apps, mobile games and storyboards and all that. So we decided to do it for adults, people with experience, people who sit in strategic position that can make, a lot of, process a lot of data. Okay, so we go through the 4 levels of analytics: describing what happened, explaining what happened, predicting what can happen, and recommending what needs to be done, and yet aligning to the SDG 17. So we have fantastic feedback, and we are so amazed with ordinary people coming up with extraordinary solutions in this program. So they are in the tail end, and we will present it in the global audience on 1st December. So what are they building? They are building AI solutions across 12 clusters. It's self-explanatory, from green technologies to retailers to social politics to philanthropy to compliance, fintech. So it's not fintech alone, it's beyond fintech. So we like to think that AI is only fintech and fintech is only used by banks and FIs, right? No, it covers these 12 clusters and map onto the SDG 17. So this is why we are so proud of them. 39 of them with 28 AI projects that benefit hundreds of thousands of people. If you know their projects even more, you will be so impressed by them. So to give you an idea how AI looks like, right? We are actually showing you right now how the solutions are being done with people without coding and programming. So you can see as the internet bandwidth soaks in, right? You can see how the data is being crunched, and using natural language processing, natural language generation, and natural language understanding. It can be used to understand stock markets, financial planning for the poor, marketing insights, political, education, auditing and compliance, and even healthcare for dialysis patients or people with kidney problems. Okay, can you imagine that the robo-advisor actually, with the help of the actual subject matter expertise, right, will be able to build their own solution on top of our AI platform. They'll be able to do scoring, tell you what happened, why did it happen, what can happen in the future, what needs to be done, and what needs to be monitored. All these are the cognitive aspects of the AI solutions that are built by ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And AI is rapidly gaining a lot of traction and a lot of recognition by judges all over the world based on the NLG, NLP, NLU. And, and so from here, we also have a global faculty, okay, of people to advise you, to guide you. And you can see Charles there, who's also part of our faculty advisors that actually provide the inputs and behaving as if they are the client or they are the supervisor of the project owners in an organization. I like this, I don't like this, need more, need less, so they role play to advise all the project owners what needs to be done. And you can see the ranking of based on World Economic, WIPO, right? WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization, that ranks the top 10 countries in the world, recently published as to which countries across 130 economies are very, very innovative based on parameters such as human capital, institutions, technology, creative output, and market and business sophistication. So we welcome right now to work with the Bangladeshi government, private sector, startups, accelerators, incubators, advisors, consultants, whoever in Bangladesh that believes in digital democratization of AI, to work with us and set up various internal units for your own mini center for AI innovation within your organization. And this is where country partnerships can be formed with Bangladesh stakeholders. Now, I end the session with the last 2 slides with highlighting at the end of the day, organization, but the entire leadership need to be convinced, need to be aware the importance of being AI ready. So I put in the practical bullet points for you to ask yourself, okay, are we ready? To what extent are we ready? What are we focusing on? What's the future gonna be? What's the challenges that you will overcome, that you need to overcome? And how do you implement it? Okay, so I walk away with this key takeaway slide that provide you with a list of with a checklist on how to get ready. What every leader must know, whether you're from public, private, or non-profit. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Shafquat. We look forward to working in Bangladesh to be able to create that impact for Bangladesh as a very, very fantastic country with lots of rich culture and a very high population, and potential for upside is really, really clear for us. So thank you so much, Mr. Shafquat and members of the distinguished panel.
Thank you, Brother Nazri. As usual, you're very precise. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to have the pleasure of inviting my friend next to me, Mr. Mominul Islam. He is the Managing Director and CEO of Industrial Promotion and Development Company, IPDC of Bangladesh. Momin is the Managing Director and CEO of IPDC Finance Limited, country's leading non-banking financial institution. Previously, he has worked for American Express and Standard Chartered Bank at home and abroad. In an illustrious career spanning 21 years, Momin has proven himself as a transformative leader, securing the position of CEO of IPDC in 2012 at the age of only 35. He happens to be the youngest CEO ever in the country when he was promoted to this particular position. Because of his transformational leadership, Momin was awarded as the Outstanding CEO of the Year in 2019 by the Association of Development Finance Institutions in Asia Pacific. He also won the Premier Performance Club Award at American Express for his successful global project management, and was included in the global talent pool there, and also was included in the high performance team at Standard Chartered. He was the recipient of the Prime Minister's Award twice for his brilliant academic results, and was also awarded the Vice Chancellor's Gold Medal in his master's program. I know I'm not doing too much justice to my speakers and keynote speaker because I'm cutting down their time on the profile, but you will be able to read them and you can understand from their deliberations what wealth of knowledge they have. So, Mr. Mominul Islam, 8 minutes, please.
Thank you. When we joined banks a couple of decades back, we were taught one sentence: without money, you don't have freedom. Whenever we used to meet customers to bring in savings or say some lending products or money market products, we used to really reiterate this to our customers: without money, you don't have freedom. So now these days, after 2 decades, that word money has got interchanged with technology. Without technology, you do not have freedom. So at IPDC, what we are trying to do is using the power of technology to democratize the access to finance in Bangladesh. I'll give you just 2-3 examples in brief to give you a glimpse of what we are doing at IPDC. First one is IPDC Arjun, which is a blockchain-based digital supply chain finance platform. As you understand, supply chain finance is a very preferred mode of finance for the CSMEs in developing countries who doesn't have the collateral or the information systematically stored for banks or financial institutions to systematically, easily appraise them or finance them. So in a manual environment, supply chain finance requires a huge operational resource, although the credit risk is very low. So what we did, we digitized the entire supply chain finance ecosystem from the time the work order is issued till the product is supplied and delivery notes and bill is submitted. And also the entire credit process as well was automated. So from then afterwards, from 3 months for a loan processing, the loan processing has come down to only 3 days. Loan disbursement request with a smartphone in their hand, these small businesses, it takes only 30 minutes from 30 hours previously used to take. And basically, there is no collateral requirement. We are expecting to support around 1 million customers, CSME customers, by 2025 by opening up this platform to all banks and financial institutions to use and making this a market space. Second one is IPDC Dana, which is again a digital platform to cater to the small micro merchants, the retailers across the country, with the help of manufacturers or marketeers like Unilever, Nestle, British American Tobacco Bangladesh, and Syngenta. We are trying to give a small credit to these small retailers across the country against their inventory. And the collaborative environment with these manufacturers makes it easy to assess these small retailers at offshore, far from our branches, and also the collection process is also ensured through this collaboration. So again, around 1 million customers will be catered by IPDC through this Dana platform by 2025. Number 3 is IPDC Easy, which is a small apps-based consumer financing. When you approach to any consumer electronics, smart devices, or home appliances store without having a credit card, using IPDC Easy apps, you can take a small credit from the shop for purchase of your product and pay by installment, and that's interest free. So in Bangladesh, access to credit card is still limited. Around 750,000 people are using credit card. So by 2025, around 2.5 million consumers will be using IPDC Easy apps for their consumer durables purchase, which is around 3 times more than the credit card users by entire banking ecosystem. So that's how basically IPDC is trying to get to the bottom of the pyramid, making credit easy for them. And at the end, I will narrate a story to you just to warn you what to look at when you go for democratization or digitization of your products and services. When I joined American Express as management trainee, I was posted in remittance department. And there was like corporate customers or development agencies who used to send fund to their employees or project workers in different remote parts of the country where we did not have our branches. We used to send it through the local banks where the recipients used to have their bank accounts. So it was a manual process, used to take a lot of time because each bank have different charge structure. So the clerk who used to do it, around 1,000 transactions per day, used to make 1 or 2 error, and it was voluminous during the festival time. So it used to take 2-3 days working late hours. So with my limited expertise in coding and database designing, I made a small application whereby the process got automated. The boss of the department we had, he was a very tough boss, but very meticulous in calculation. So every evening he used to see what the clerk is doing. He used to get 1 or 2 errors in his calculation. He used to scream at the clerk. And when it got automated, still the boss used to check whether all the informations or calculations are correct. He lost control, but he was psychologically not ready for that. He missed the screaming he used to do on the clerk. We used to call him Mr. Wolf. So in each of our organization, we have this Mr. Wolf. We need to find out them. They are the roadblocks for democratization of technology. So in case we want to make it faster and smoother, we need to make sure the concerns of Mr. Wolves are well taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Momin. Thank you very much. I actually recognized Mr. Muhammad Sharif, but sorry, sir, I didn't know your designation at that time. Mr. Muhammad Sharif is the Minister of State for Environment, Climate Change and Technology, Republic of Maldives. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I'll not say our last speaker, but he has taken the trouble of flying down from Kathmandu, our dear friend who's sitting here on the dais. And I actually, as he has taken the trouble of coming, I wanted him to listen to all the deliberations because I gave him a chance. Okay? So welcome Dilip Agarwal. Dilip is the founder and chairman and managing director of WorldLink Communication. He founded and established Nepal's largest internet service provider in 1995 while attending college in the US. Over the years, WorldLink has registered tremendous sustained growth and provides services ranging from internet and data connectivity to cloud computing and managed enterprise services. WorldLink has grown to be not only the largest ISP in Nepal, but one of the largest IT services companies, employing over 4,000 people and connecting over 510,000 households over its own nationwide state-of-the-art optical fiber network. Today, over 3.4 million netizens use WorldLink to access the internet, representing around 1/3 of all active internet users in the country. Around 1.75 million TV viewers use WorldLink's IPTV services to watch the live TV and video-on-demand entertainment. Dilip has been a member of YPO Nepal. He has also been a long-time member of the Entrepreneurs Organization since 2005. He's a recognized pioneer in Nepal's IT industry. He regularly appears in national and international media. He's appeared here as well. Thank you very much. So I'll ask Dilip to contribute to this particular session. Thank you very much, Dilip.
Thank you, Shafkat Bhai. And thank you, everyone, for having me here today. It's really an honor. I'm sitting in front of some ministers from various countries, and that's a very unique honor for anybody. I'll keep my, my statement very short because I think a lot of very knowledgeable people have already spoken and contributed enough. I'll just start by saying that, you were saying earlier that it was money and then technology. I would like to add internet to that. So without internet, you don't have freedom in today's day and age. And that's been underscored even further by the pandemic that we have all gone through and in some ways still going through. I would also like to add that the internet is probably the most powerful catalyst for democratization. And not just democratization of technology, but democratization of everything in today's day and age. Why do I say this? Because the internet is democratizing access to information, access to technology, and also, most importantly, access to communications. So in the earlier years, telecommunication was expensive and difficult, but the internet has made that so easy. And we see that a lot even in our developing countries and even in rural areas of our developing countries, where people are using internet to communicate, to have a video call with loved ones in other countries. They're using it in Nepal today for online education. The biggest impetus to the growth of internet in my country and probably globally has come from education during the pandemic times. You see, people in my country, they will compromise on food, but they will not compromise on their child's education. And even families that did not think they could afford a mobile smartphone have bought one. Even families that never thought they would need the internet, and it was just something to have fun and socialize or for entertainment, have realized that the internet is not just for that, but it's for much more, and they're using it for education. Now, when we talk about democratization of technology, another important aspect to realize is that this is probably the largest opportunity in today's day and age, especially in large countries with large populations like Bangladesh and India and Pakistan. Nepal, not as much, but still, Nepal has 30 million. But it presents such a huge opportunity because now we can build platforms that can actually democratize technology and bring it to the masses. And if we look at some of the great examples, like for example, Airbnb. Now what did Airbnb do? Airbnb democratized the technology for every single person who wants to be a hotel to become a hotel. So if they had a small room in their home, they could become a hotel. Similarly, Uber, they have democratized, by building this platform, they have democratized technology in a way that anybody who wants to be a transportation company can do so very simply if they even have a motorcycle, like we see with Pathao in Bangladesh as well as in Nepal. So it's not just about democratizing technology for enterprise innovation, but it's about, it makes huge business sense for everyone. Now, when we go into the enterprise segment, we look at digital transformation, and everybody realizes that digital transformation is so important. But even in my own company, we have 4,500 employees. Digital transformation is something I just can't get myself around. It's so difficult to do. And why is it difficult? A, because finding people is so difficult. These techies in today's day and age, they are more valuable than gods. And they will not come and they will not do anything for you without a huge salary, and they will leave whenever they want to leave. And that's a problem. It's a global problem now. The techies are not available. They will not give their time, and in the next call, they will probably go to the other company. So with democratization of technology, there is now ways for people to be trained, ordinary employees with no technical background to be trained in low-code or no-code applications to develop their own apps. So in my company, we have people who can develop apps sitting in front of their screens for their own needs. We are just trialing this. We are using Microsoft's Power App, and just trying it out. But I believe it has huge potential because we really want to do away with the reliance on the technical IT team for every single application development in our company. And that is going to bring the revolution, because when ordinary employees with no technical background will be able to develop their apps, the applications for their unique requirements in the company to make their jobs more effective, that is when we will start seeing innovation. And based on my research, I have discovered that this is the trend in the future, and the biggest requirement to get this trend off is training. First of all, employees need to understand that they can do this. It is doable, because most employees have this mental block. When you say technology, everybody shuts down. They think, oh, this is beyond me, it's beyond my capability. But they need to be trained that there are ways for them to be able to build these apps without having much technical knowledge. Secondly, they need to be trained to think like a technologist. They need to be trained to think how a machine thinks, using simple tools like Scratch, that kids use globally, so that they can think the way a programmer thinks in structuring information flows and creating such apps. Having said this, I would like to close my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dilip. I think rather than saying too much, our brilliant speakers have spoken their thoughts. I'll just wrap it up by saying, over time, the democratization of technology will challenge traditional notions of who owns technology, how technology strategy and planning is done, and the role of IT. If business leaders are to ensure their companies benefit from this innovation advantage in the years ahead, they need to address three core questions. Number one, does my business have the capabilities needed to democratize IT? Number two, how can I train workers to think like technologists? Number three, how can democratized technologies make IT groups more effective and vice versa? Without taking steps to empower your people, you will be holding your digital transformations back. Industries are adapting and transforming around you. Grassroots innovation will help you keep up. That's what I would like to say. And in the end, I'd like to say a big thank you to Ralph Simon, Charles Cheong, Nazri Muth, Seema Ambasta, Kamal Kadir, Momin Islam, and Dilip Agarwal. Thank you so much for listening to us, hearing us. Thank you very much.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. I'm Nabila Karim. I'm working as the communication specialist for the WCIT Secretariat. Thank you all for joining. We have with us the moderator of today's session, Shafkat Haider, Chairman, ICT Industry Skills Council and Chairman, Council for Communication IT, SARC Chamber for Commerce and Industry. A round of applause for our honorable moderator. We have with us virtually our keynote speaker, Ralph Simon, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Mobilium Global Limited, UK. A round of applause for him, please. We also have with us, as our panelists, Mr. Mominul Islam, Chief Executive Officer, IPDC Finance Limited, Bangladesh. A round of applause for him as well. We have with us on stage Mr. Dilip Agarwal, Chairman, Managing Director of WorldLink, Nepal. We previously also had with us Mr. Kamal S. Kadir, Chief Executive Officer, Bikash. He had to leave because of some family emergencies. We apologize for that. And we also have virtually joining with us Ms. Seema Ambasta, Chief Executive Officer, Brookfield Asset Management, Digital Reality, India. A round of applause for her as well. We have Mr. Nazri Muth, Founder, Group CEO, MyFinB Group, Singapore, Honorary Council, Cabo Verde, West Africa. A round of applause for him as well. We also have with us Mr. Charles Cheong, Chief Executive Officer, AI Future Asia, PTE Limited, AIFA, Singapore. Round of applause. It is an honor for me to let you all know that today we are in the presence of His Excellency Muhammad Sharif, Minister of State for Environment, Climate Change and Technology, Republic of Maldives. A round of applause for him. And His Excellency Abdi Sheikh Ahmed, Honorable Minister, Minister of Communications and Technology, Somalia. At this moment, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Mohammad Shahidul Munir, President of Bangladesh Computer Samiti, on stage to grace our honorable moderator, panelist, and our gracious guest. Sir, can we have you on stage? Along with our ministers, we would like to have a photo in the middle, please. In the middle? Yeah, a little bit there. I would like to request the President of BCS to present the flower bouquet to our Minister, ICT Minister from Somalia. Congratulations. Thank you, sir, for joining us in Bangladesh. It's an honor. Next, I would like to have another flower bouquet for our ICT Minister of Maldives. Thank you, sir, for joining us in Bangladesh. Now, I would like to request our President of BCS to honor our moderator, Mr. Shafkat Haidar, with the flower bouquet and the crest. Can we have the crest, please, as well? Thank you so much, sir, for giving us all the hard works that you did today, and also behind the screen. Can we have the crest of the moderator? Round of applause. I would also like our ministers to pitch in with the crest as well. Great. Can we have the crest and flower bouquet for our speakers too? Flower bouquet. Thank you. For Mominul Islam, sir, CEO, IPDC. Congratulations, sir. Thank you for joining us as the panelists for this session. Now, to Mr. Dilip Agarwal. And now the crests, please. At first to Mr. Dilip Agarwal. And now to the crest to Mr. Mominul Islam, sir. Round of applause, please. Thank you. I know there is a bit of running going on with our president of Bangladesh Computer Samiti, and I hope he doesn't mind. Okay, I would like to give the mic, yes.
I like to invite our BCS EC to come over stage and take one photo.
I will also request the Vice President of Bangladesh Computer Samiti and the association members to join on stage for a group photograph as well. Thank you so much. And with that, this is the wrap of our Bangladesh Computer Samiti session, Democratizing Technology, How Democratizing Technology Adds a Crucial Element to Enterprise Innovation. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.